Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, BBH Creates. My name is Brittany, and today for Vlogmas Day 18, I thought that we would do some follow-up on some other projects and make some tiny books for Christmas tree ornaments. So first I just want to do some follow-up real quick. You know, the materials that I cut out of my bullet journal and Vlogmas Day 1 and 2. It was some pages that was at the end of the book that I knew that I wasn't going to use, and I said that I might make a book out of them. So that's one of the things we're going to do today. These are those pages. And then from my MD Midori journal, 365 journal, I saved the support board for the clear cover that I purchased for it, and that was in another video also, so we're going to be using that to make our books. And then I have some of the papers left over from when we wrapped gifts earlier in the Vlogmas series, so I'm going to try to use some of those. And then also because we did those book page ornaments, I thought that I might use some of the pages from one of the books. So I have one of those here. Might do that. But then also, because as a bookmaker and bookbinder, I usually have a lot of scrap papers laying around. I kind of put them in a catch-all folder, which is here. And these are just, you know, spare pieces of paper that I cut down from the other books that I make. Some of them are ones that I use for covers of books. Some of them are papers that I use as pages in books. There's all kinds of little cutoffs in here, different types of papers. There's even a Chick-fil-A bag there. I saved that for junk journaling purposes. But yeah, so this is a good way to use up some of those scraps. And then also it's good to use up projects that are less than stellar. So like I mentioned these in another video, how I wasn't too happy with how they turned out. It was my first time using a brayer, one of these little tools to paint with, so I think that I need to practice a little bit more, but there's no reason why we can't use them, right? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to use our scraps and we're going to make tiny books for our trees. And also, to follow up, I used the scrap pieces of cardboard bookboard from my YouTube Vlogmas journal that I made with you guys and created this little book. And it's just a jotter book, but these are the signatures here are the same signatures that are in that book. So these were all the cutoffs from our pages from that book. So essentially it's just the same book as that journal, only in a smaller version, and I used a different paper for the cover. This paper is just a mixed media paper that I did these on, the brayer paintings on. And then I used a wax linen thread to stitch it. Let me put these someplace. I'm afraid they're gonna fall. There we go. And then, because the colors kind of took away from the floral stencil, I took a Uniball Signo white gel pen and traced the stencil on both sides, just to kind of make it pop. And then if you noticed in that folder of scraps, there's some like really tiny pieces, like this for example. And I know you're probably thinking, why did she keep that? These are great to keep for decoration on your books, for tip-ins, for journaling space. Like if this was a more neutral color, you could put it on a page and then you could journal on it, or you could put your page number or your heading on it. I actually used a piece like this last night. I'll show you guys. I just took this out of the press this morning. I'm going to be participating in the Junk Journal January 2024 challenge, and I wanted to make a little book. So this is actually stationery that a pen pal wrote to me on. Her letter is on the inside. And then I did that pamphlet stitch that I've shown in previous videos, and I did the decoration with the tails for some beading that matched the cover. And then I put the prompt list in the inside cover. So this is all ready to go. But as you can see, it has multiple different types of paper in it. There's some scrapbook paper, there's some color copy paper, there's some dot grid, and I find that that's very inspiring whenever I do challenges like this, because it makes me think a little harder. How am I going to incorporate the prompt with that type of page? So, but this is a perfect example of how you use scraps laying around to make something beautiful and memorable. So yeah, this is kind of like a little sample of what we're going to make today. It's along the same lines. So to get started, I'm just going to start folding my pages, and we're going to make the larger jotter book first, and then I'll just have a little chat with you while we do this. And I'm not worried about how the one side is wavy. Remember when I cut these out, I was saying about how the cut was wonky. I'm not worried about that because we're going to trim this down. So, I mean, I'm not worried about the page numbers either being on these, or how one corner is square and the other is rounded, because that's most likely going to get cut anyways. So I was noticing the other day, someone pointed out, when I was talking about my virtual races that I do, that I misspoke, and I was talking about my first race being the North Coast 500 and how I chose it because I like Ireland. And my first virtual race was actually the Ring of Kerry, which goes through Ireland, but because I had Scotland on my mind because I was talking about my most recent virtual races, I misspoke and said that it was the North Coast 500, which is another race that I've completed. It just was one of those, you know, word blurps. But yeah. And then I was thinking too of our little ties that we're going to put for our books. Might be able to get a couple books out of this. How many pages do we have here? Do 5. And then what do we have here? 5. Oh, well, that worked out perfect. So we'll make 2 books. All right. So I was thinking about how to make them more festive, you know, besides the wrapping paper and all that. And what I came up with was I chose red and green wax linen threads to do our ties, our sewing with, our stitches. All right, so for these I want a firmer paper. So I'm going to look through my stash here and pick out some cardstock. And I have all kinds of stuff in here. I mean, all different types of colors. There's florals, there's, you know, random pieces. Like this was a scrapbook page. That's actually kind of nice. I like that. I think I'm going to use that one for one of them. And then, see, there's some more of those little strips that I showed you I used on this one here, they're good for that. You know, it's like a little title template thing. Let's see here. What was I saying? Completely escapes me. Oh, they're different, you know, colors and different paper types. This one would be pretty because it's green and it's got that flare of gold. Let's see what we can do with that one too. And then this is actually from a gift bag. I used a gift bag to make pockets for one of my journals. It's really pretty. We might do something with that one. This one looks like Christmas decor already, so I'll hold that out. I think we have enough to get started. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pair up, fold this in half first. And you can use a bone folder for this if you want. I don't always use bookbinding tools, obviously. And like I'm not measuring any of this because it's going to get cut down. So I'm not even going to measure the dots. I'm just going to eyeball it. And it's kind of helpful because this is a dot grid paper, but you know, just do your best. Have fun with it. That's one of the reasons I love doing little projects like this using scraps, working with scraps, is because it doesn't have to be perfect. You're not like working with expensive paper from Italy. It's a little inside joke for all my viewers who have been following along. But I'm gonna use the green. But yeah, so just have fun with it and don't worry about measuring and things being precise. And you come up with the most beautiful things when you're working with scraps because it makes you think outside the box. So again, we're just going to leave a tail because I like those. I think they're cute. Then we're going to go to the left, the hole to the left, come in through the back to the center, pull snug but not so snug that you lose your tail, go back through the hole to the left of center, skip over center hole, go into the one to the right of center hole, down through your last bottom hole, come back through your right to center hole, and then exit through your center hole. Okay, and then you want to tie off. I usually tie off with one tail on either side of the center cord, and then you're just going to make a box knot. So left over right, right over left. And you could do a third for good measure if you want. Okay, so I'm going to trim my tails a little bit. Now this long piece we're going to use to hang the book with to turn it into our ornament so we can hang it on our tree. Now we're just going to cut it down. So when you're cutting down, you want to have like a little grid, or if you want to measure, you can do that. I like to rely on my grid just because I feel like it's easiest. And then I find it easiest to use a corked back ruler so that it doesn't slip on you. And then be mindful of your first and last holes. You don't want to get too close to them. Excuse me. And then you're just going to make your cuts. And remember, when you're cutting, it's best to do light pressure over several swipes with the blade. than try to go all in and cut them all at once. And if these get in your way, you can just push them down. I sometimes forget that, and then I get wonky cuts because I'm frustrated by them. Okay, there we go. So see there, that cut took care of our rounded corner. And I'm not too close to the last hole either. So we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. And one of the other fellow bookmakers that I follow on social media shared their version of little book Christmas ornaments. And they have this wonderful tradition and idea with their family that they make a larger book, kind of like this one is, and then they hang it on their tree, and kind of like what I've been doing with Vlogmas, they take their memories from the holidays and the traditions that they participated in, and they log them in the book, like as they get closer to Christmas. And then by the time Christmas is over, they have this beautiful Christmas ornament, absolutely beautiful, that's all filled in and logged with their memories from the holiday season. And they can put pictures in there, recipes, they can write down their memories or song lyrics or favorite quotes from the movies they watch. And I just think that is so genius. I mean, that's like a really, really good idea. I don't know if I'm going to do that with this one. I might. We'll see. But yeah, it might be better if I started that next year, just because we're on day 18. We're a little close to the holidays, but it is a really good idea. I loved it. And they actually sell the small books too, which I think is great. I never really thought about selling small books when I started making books. There you go. There you have it. But then I thought, well, they're really nice for pocket jotters. Like, this would be perfect as a pocket jotter. And I thought, well, you know, I like field notes. They're smaller. They're a little bit larger than this. And I thought, well, maybe there is a market for it. Maybe some people do prefer smaller books. So now I'm kind of having fun with, you know, experimenting and with different sizes. This is a nice one. I think it will work well. So now to get your tie on, you're just going to thread your needle with that leftover tail of your thread. You're going to go through that top signature hole. And then take my needle off there. You're just going to tie the ends in a knot. And then you can tidy up the ends, of course, trim them down. And there you have it. You have a little functional Christmas ornament, handmade book, and it has pages for you to fill in. You can leave it blank. But yeah, so we're going to keep making those. And then all these scraps, these are really too small for me to save. Although some of them, like this one, that would be nice for like a title or a heading in a journal, like a journaling page. So maybe we'll set those aside and save them. See guys, this is how it starts. You get an idea and you're like, well, maybe I could use that. Alright, so then I think I want to use this green next. And I like the gold. That's why I want to use it. We'll just clean this up here. This is from a scrapbook paper pad. That's why it has this perforated edge on it up here at the top. That I will not keep. Although, no, I'm just joking. I'm not going to keep that. Okay, so because this is kind of greenish, festive-like, I think I'm going to put in some actual pages from a book. Just trying to find one. I know I have a Christmassy one. Sorry if you can't hear me. I'm a little turned away from the camera here. I know I have one that has Christmas illustrations in, and I thought that that might be fun to put in there. It's a nice illustration. Oh, sorry, you can't see any of this. I get carried away and just, that's a nice one. We might do that. We'll go through that one. And these are just books that I got at a vintage or antique mall. You can see I paid $3 for this one. I took the text block out, gutted the book, because I'm using the covers. They had beautiful imagery on them. I'm going to use the covers to make travel journals out of. And if you're interested in learning how to do that, I learned how to do it by the Handmade Book Club that's run by Allie Manning. So if you want to check that out, that's where I learned how to do it. It's a really fun class. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Okay, that's kind of cute. We'll take that one. Maybe. There we go. Got a little horse. Have some imagery here to get ready for a dance or something. And this is a good way to recycle your old books. Excuse me. So the reason why I wanted to use illustrations for this one is because I think that when the book is kind of sprayed open, when it's hanging on the tree, you'll be able to see that. See how this one kind of stays open because we didn't like press it or put any weight on it for any period of time. Then you'll be able to see those images, which I think would be really nice. Got this one here. Just do a couple more. Got a little poem there. Looks like they're sitting around the head of the household here. I think that's enough. So then, because we have such a small piece that we're working with, what you could do is wherever you want your image to be, you can just line it up with how your book's going to be. So let's make our book first. Let's do, I want the gold, so let's go just a little past the gold flare. All right. So we'll just cut that down. And then you could use this for another small book, which I'll probably do that and make another ornament out of that. So we'll save that. Then you want to fold your images. Yeah, we want it to be like this. The only thing that I've noticed having difficulty with working with the older books is that they tend to be more fragile. So if you notice, you know, they're tearing easier when you're trying to sew, just slow down and sew more carefully. And I'm just trying to make sure that all the texts are going the same way. Not that it matters, it's not like I'm gonna read the book, but you know, OCD kicking in there. And I think I grabbed 6 pages. Let me just see, I'm just trying to sort these out here. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Put this one here. And then we'll put this one on the outside because I really like that image. And then I think I'm going to save this one for our other little book. So there we have our pages. And I just went kind of opposite for each page. So like this is the straight edge, and then you have the rough edge from where I tore it out of the book. Then you have a straight edge and then a rough edge, and that'll be the same on the other side, just because I think that that's kind of neat. We're probably going to cut that off anyways, but yeah, we will. Darn. I really like that, like deckled edging, but you can make it that way if you tear this down even more. So where's my punch cork? Maybe if I slit it down, no, because then you wouldn't get the image. We'll see what we can come up with. All right, and then you're gonna punch your holes. Again, I'm not measuring. I think for this one I'm gonna use red waxed thread. I'm just making my holes a little bit larger to make sewing easier here. Okay, we'll get our linen thread, waxed linen thread cut. I think the red would be a nice pop of color against the green. And then you're just going to repeat what we just did. I don't know if that got off or not, because I set it down. Oh yeah, it did. It got off centered. So I'm straightening it up here. There we go. Sometimes when you set it down, that happens. So I know that this one I only have 3 holes in, but that's okay. You're going to do the same thing and skip the center. So essentially all you've done by going from 5 holes to 3 is you're taking out your top and bottom holes, but you'll still have your pamphlet stitch, see? So we're just going to do that box knot again, left over right, right over left. One more for good measure. Okay. And sorry for the background noise, I'm doing laundry. Multitasking today. Alright, so there our book is assembled. Now we're going to cut it down. Again, you want to be mindful of your top and bottom holes. Go a little bit out from them. And then light pressure with several strokes of your blade. There we go. Just going to do the same on the other side. You could really get creative with this. You could make your own book covers, like if you wanted to paint, or say your kids did a really cute crayon drawing or piece of art for you, or even if you wanted to use Christmas cards. This would be a great way to reuse Christmas cards. Just take the top of the card off and use it as your little book cover. I'm going to really cut this one down because it seems to be a chunkier one. There we go. And there you have it. Now you have your illustrations and you recycled book text. That one's really nice. I like that. That turned out perfectly. Very good. Then what you could do, like if you wanted to decorate the cover, because this one's kind of plain aside from the gold swirl we have on the back, is you could put stickers on this. You could write the title of your favorite book. You could put Christmas 2023, all kinds of things. I mean, just let yourself be creative. Don't hold back. You know, there's no wrong way to create, in my opinion, when it comes to bookmaking. Yes, there's some things that you absolutely need to do to make sure your book stays together, but otherwise, just have fun, you know? Let's see where we are with time. We have enough time for more. We could do a couple more. Alright, so you've already seen me do that, so I won't do that now. Let's do some of this paper. I could probably just tear that. There we go. And then let's reuse this stiffer board that was in my MD notebook. I told you guys I would use it to make a book. Save that for another one. Okay, and then because we want it to be small, let's cut this down in half. Again, I'm not worrying about precision here. It's okay if it's messy. And then I kind of like the pattern. So if this was the book and I wanted it to be like this. Don't think my board is, it could be a tiny one. Okay, we'll make a tiny book. A tiny book. Just going to cut this strip off here. Because, and the reason why I say a tiny one is because I want the pattern to stay like this. So in order for it to be like that on our book, it has to be smaller. So maybe this would even work, this scrap that we just cut. And we'll do what we were doing. Okay, maybe cut this down a little bit more. That looks about right. Okay, we're just gonna cut a big chunk off. And now we're gonna glue. So, yeah, don't hold yourself to strict measurements when you're doing projects using up scraps, because then I think you'll find, like how I just did with the pattern, I want the pattern to be a certain way, you'll find yourself frustrated because it won't go the direction that you want, or you don't have enough paper. So like you saw me there, okay, it wasn't the paper wasn't long enough for the piece that I had cut, so I just took a big swipe out of it. You know, sometimes it's what you got to do. You know, if you want it to be a certain way, you just have to be bold and take a big chunk out. Okay, so now we're not even going to mess with the corner miter. We're just going to eyeball it. Just eyeball it. Remember to have fun. Don't put pressure on yourself. You know, these are just supposed to be cute little books. Glue this. Now with this one, because we're using leftover wrapping paper, gift wrap, what have you, you might notice that it's curling because of the moisture of the glue. That's okay. If you're a little worried about maybe it curling when you put it on the tree, just set it underneath some heavy books for a little while. so that that has a chance to flatten out, you know, maybe overnight or something. Just pressing my corners. What happened there? Okay, it went the opposite direction. And this doesn't have to be perfect either. Just glue this down. And then for our end papers, if you wanted to, you could use the same paper. So you could go like this, which I think I'm going to do because I like the blue. So let's see, we need it to cover about there. See how I'm just eyeballing it? It doesn't have to be perfect. Let's see how that goes. There we go. Excuse me. So that does go opposite our pattern. Well, it goes opposite anyways. Huh. Isn't that funny how that worked out? That's okay. We're going to go with it. We are going to go with it. So you just want to glue this down. It's still going to look pretty. Try to center it as best as you can. Alright. Now I'm going to fold it, but I'm not going to press it. I'm just going to fold it. Okay, so we'll set this to a side. And then, do we want to do more book pages? Let's do some more scrap paper. Because Lord knows I have plenty of that. So we'll do this one. Maybe put some florals in there. And then I'd really like to use this up. We'll put that in there too. And then maybe this kind of looks Christmassy. Put that in there. Okay, so I'm just going to straighten these up, line them up as best as I can, and then I'm just going to cut a chunk of them out because our book is tiny. Just to make it easier to work with. Oop, I guess I could close my glue up. Okay. So then I'm just going to put them in some type of an order. I think that looks nice. Fold them in half. Again, no measurements, guys. Just have fun with this. And then I'm going to do my punches. Just going to eyeball them. And I'm going to do 3 for this one as well. And I think I'll do red to match the little red decoration there. Alright, so where did my needle go? My desk is a mess. And then I think when I'm done doing this for you guys, I may make a couple more books just to use up some more scraps. Go ahead and decorate my tree with them. And then I'm going to make some larger books today. I think today's the day I'm going to make the December books, projects for the club that I belong to. And obviously I'm doing some laundry. I don't think I'm going anywhere today because it is snowing here. It was only supposed to rain this morning, and then we were supposed to get snow this afternoon, but the snow has come early, and it's supposed to be gusty, and I don't know how much we're supposed to get. An inch maybe? I don't know if there was any accumulation actually predicted. So yeah, I don't think I'm going anywhere today. But obviously I'm going to make lunch. I'm probably going to relax, maybe put a movie on, one of my top 10 Christmas movies. We've almost watched all of them from our list. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 left that we need to watch before Christmas. Okay, and then because my holes are so far down on this one, I'm going to make another hole at the top to hang this with. But first I'm going to trim this down. So again, we're just going to line it up as best we can, use our ruler, and because we already have our cover done, we want to be very careful not to cut into it when we're making our cuts. I think I'll be okay here. I might just put music on today, actually, instead of a movie. We'll see. Hopefully I haven't cut into my book cover. But even if I have, that's okay. Cut a little bit closer. There we go. And this is where measuring would come in handy so that you don't have to worry about cutting your pages after you make your book. Personally, I like doing it this way, but I don't do this when I make like my A5 size books. I have my pages cut down in advance on those ones because I don't want to risk cutting into the covers. Just going to use my scissors. Get that out of the way. There we go. All right. And I'm not too worried about these ones having rough edges because they are scrap. They're made out of scraps. So I'm fine with them being a little wonky. There we go. Then I'm just going to make that hole at the top. And use the tail to put in our cord to hang it with. And of course you could use these books too, but I think I'm gonna leave them blank, except for that larger one that we just made. I might journal in that one about this Christmas. We'll just trim up our tail. There we go. So see, I wanted that pattern to go the other way, but I think it looks fine. It turned out good. it goes that way on the inside. Alright, so I did not, oops, so here's those two. I did not put a tie on this one. So, do I have any string left over? This red's long enough. I will do that. And it matches the sewing that we did, so that works out. I'm just going to put this tie on here, and then that's going to be it for today. Oops. And then I'm going to go relax, make some other books, have some lunch, do some laundry, and maybe put a movie or some music on. Okay, there we have it. There are our little book ornaments. We have a variety here. We have a mini one using leftover wrapping paper, some scrap pages for paper. We have more of a neutral colored one that has some dot grid paper that was left over from that bullet journal that we took out earlier in Vlogmas. And then we have a green and gold recycled book page book. That's what I have for you today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you've made it to the end of this video, let's put a book emoji in the comments. And I have figured out what was wrong with my comments. So it was a setting when I did my video processing and uploading. I believe they are corrected now. So if any of you have been frustrated whenever I say please leave it below in the comments and you weren't able to, I am very sorry, but that should be corrected now. So if not, just contact me and I'll play around with it and see if there's something else that I'm missing. But yeah, so let's do a book emoji in the comments. And then I think what I'm going to do is a wrap-up Vlogmas video that just kind of follows up on all of our projects. I might not. I take that back, guys. I might not do that just because I followed up today and then I did a follow-up video yesterday. So there might not be anything to follow up on. But yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for liking my videos, subscribing. Thank you for following me on Instagram. I hope that you have enjoyed making these books. And I will see you in tomorrow's Vlogmas Day 19 video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.